beautiful people on the internet. It's me, Gratified What Ifs, and I'm here to say that this is What If Deku had Lukage's powers part 2. And before I jump into the what if, I want to say that if you like what I'm saying, hit that like button, and if you want to know when I post my next videos, hit that subscribe button. And anyway, since I've gotten all the original checklist out of the way, let's jump into the what if. So, last time I left off, Deku was rescued by a bunch of heroes from that warehouse that I was talking about. And this is also where All Might does get injured, but it does not go to the press. So far, only these people know about what happened to All Might. Shoto Aizawa, Night Eye, Endeavor, and of course Deku, because he was the one that was being rescued. So let me just say that this really changed a lot of people's perspective. Like Shoto Aizawa's changing his perspective of All Might being a show-off, since he thought that it was just being a show-off, but in the original canon, but since that he knows that despite his injury and being told that he's going to die by Night Eye if he continues this, that he becomes a hero, his perspective on All Might changes. And so does Endeavor's perspective, because he saw him as some kind of god that must be surpassed. But then after seeing him being injured like this, he also changes, which will come into play in the future. Anyway, after receiving all this, Deku does receive some press from this as the boy who survived. Well, not exactly as the boy who survived. I'm not trying to copy Harry Potter, please don't flag me. It's more like the survivor. And he really gets interviewed and all that, but then the heroes just separate him, saying that he's just a kid. That he's just a kid, that he does not need all this at a young age. And Inko is arrested. And Mitsuki, seeing how terrible the boy was treated but not knowing about it for so long, decides to adopt Deku into the Bakugo residence, therefore making Bakugo and Izuku brothers while being rivals. Bakugo does apologize for all the things that he's done to Deku in the past, and then, Izuku accepts his apology, and then they become bros, like proper bros, while becoming proper rivals, and then they begin to start training together. And this happened for about 1 year when Deku and Bakugo were coming back from training at the gym, because this is how their schedule usually goes. They train their bodies one day, and then they train their quirks by fighting each other. Therefore, Bakugo could handle more and more explosions and then discover his stun grenade early, while Deku does test out how far his invulnerability and super strength can go. Anyway, while coming back from the gym, Deku realizes that he left something back at that gym. And then Bakugo is all like, really? Izuku, what is it now? And then Deku is all like, I think it was my watch. And then he's like, watch? Are you serious? A watch? Whatever, just head home. I'll be back soon. And then they were like, whatever, Izuku. And then they just fist bump. After fist bumping and then heading back to the gym, Izuku just continues going and then saying, how could I leave something so irrelevant at a gym? I feel stupid. And then he begins to hear somebody screaming, let me go. And then he just decides to take cover behind the wall, and then discovers that this scream came from an alleyway. He saw that 6 guys were ganging up on a bunch of floating clothes. He believes that whoever this person is must be some kind of invisible person. And yes, this is Hakagure, so I'm going to be adding her early. And Deku is 12 years old. So, like, Deku just jumps in saying that, hey, leave her alone. Because, you can't see that Hakagure has got some assets. So yeah, he said that, hey, leave her alone. And then he's like, and then all those gangs just saw him. Those 6 guys just saw Deku, and then they begin to laugh. And then he's like, oh yeah, and what will a little kid do about that? The moment that he finishes this, 2 of his guys already got smacked into the ground. Like, they saw that their heads were pounded into the ground and the concrete was shattered. Then he gets be. Then he gets ahead of Hakaguri standing as a wall between her and the goons, and then says that if I were you, I'll get out here as fast as I can. And Hakaguri, knowing this, well, taking this to heart, she begins to run and run until she's just out of sight. And then this sticks with her for like throughout the entire what if. And before I continue, I want to say that I won't give Deku one for all because I don't want to, but you guys can comment on who do you want, who do you want me to give one for all to, but ultimately the decision will still stay with me. But you guys can comment it, and if I find a good comment saying that this belongs to this, I might just like, okay, I'll give this guy one for all. Anyway, the group just saw him and then says, you little punk, you pay for that. And then this guy had what I'll call a metal quirk. Apparently, he could turn his arms into swords, knives, and that's just about it. Also, he could make himself into steel like Tetsu, but that's just about it. Anyway, he turns his hands into swords and then tries to, charge at Deku. Deku just looking at him, doesn't even move. And then the thug is all like, well, aren't you cocky? And then tries to cut off his head on the neck. And instead of having a clean cut, what he gets is his arms shattering. His sword's just shattering and the metal just being on the floor. And then him on his knees crying out in pain. And then the other three are just like, what the hell? And then Deku is all like, well, I guess you guys don't really know what I am, but some people call me the survivor. And then this takes them aback. And then they're like, wait, the survivor? Isn't he that kid? Yeah. Which means... So, I'm going to give you guys two options. Either we take the easy way, as he cracks his knuckles and his neck, or the hard way. And then these thugs will, after contemplating on the universe and, using actual brain cells, they begin to run because they know that no way in hell that they are going to be able to defeat Izuku. And Izuku takes out his phone and then calls a hero organization to take some villains away. It was in self-defense that they were just attacking him and someone else, and then just leaves. And then he heads to the Bakugo residence, and then he was like, Bakugo was like, finally Izuku, what took you so long? And he's like, sorry, I got confused for a minute. He's like, whatever. Anyway, I was thinking about it, and I think that we should join UA. UA, huh? Yeah, it's like this great school for heroes, and if we're going to decide whoever wants to be number one, we gotta enter that school, right? Like, yeah, you're damn right. Anyway, we time skip to 2 years in the future, and Deku is now 14 years old. And then we head to that scene where the teacher is like, well, anyway, class, I know that all of you just want to go into the hero route, so I think I'm going to be done talking. And then everyone just starts using their quirks. That one with the rock hand, that one with the gooey, stringy eyes. Everyone just starts using their quirks, and then the teacher is like, all right, order in the classroom. I know that you guys are pretty excited, but that does not mean that you should be using quirks in school. There are still rules to follow. And then Bakugo, being the arrogant Bakugo, still says that none of these weaklings, that only him and Deku are going to be going to UA. And then none of them really, does anything to Deku. He doesn't laugh, they don't murmur, because they know that Deku is pretty strong and they know that he is the survivor. So yeah, they just decide to just follow it, and then Deku was all like, you don't have to call them weaklings, some of them could at least be, I don't know, C rank, D rank villains. And then yeah, that's why I called them worthless. And then Deku was all like, you still don't have to call them worthless though. Whatever, nerd. Anyway, at the end of the class, Deku is packing his stuff, and then Bakugo with his goons are all like, hey Deku, we're about to go hang out somewhere. Wanna join? And then Deku is all like, nah, I don't think so. I'll be alright. And he's like, you sure? And then Deku was like, yeah, sure. See you at home, Bakugo. And he's like, whatever. And then as he's walking home, Deku does take the tunnel, and then he hears the sludge villain. He is able to dodge the first strike, and then the sludge villain was like, hurry up, kid, I need your body. I had no idea that bastard was in town. He's like, who the hell are you talking about? And then Deku was able to dodge some of them because he is strong and he has been training, but eventually he was able to catch him. And he was able to like get some sludge into him, but he was able to rip more chunks due to his super strength, but it wasn't enough. And then All Might just appears, and then Detroit smashes the villain away from Deku. And Deku doesn't pass out because he wasn't stuck in the sludge for long that he was. So he was able to meet All Might. I was like, oh man, hey All Might, how is it going? And then he's like, oh, young Midoriya, how is everything? Is the Bakugo resting is treating you well? And he's like, yeah. Anyway, do you mind helping me? He's like, yes sir. And then he begins packing away the sludge villain with Izuku. And then All Might is like, young Midoriya, when this is over, I need to ask you something. And then he's like, sure thing, All Might. And then as they are packing away the sludge, some of the sludge villain was able to slither away and gather itself while Izuku and All Might were talking. It was actually a long talk, and All Might was talking about One for All to Deku. And then Deku was all like, I'm honored, All Might, but I don't think I want to. Because if I want to become the number one hero, I have to surpass you in every way, and since I do have the power to do so, I will become the number one hero without you. But I can help you look for a successor if you want. And it's like, sure thing. And then they begin to leave, and then Izuku and All Might begins to leave until they hear explosions. And mind you, what's his name? God. All Might is in his small might form because, well, he wasn't able to manage it while they were talking because, well, Izuku does know about the injury, so he doesn't have to manage it in front of him. So then they just head down and then they see that it's Bakugo. And then he is just blowing up everything. And then he sees that the heroes ain't being able to do anything. Izuku is just contemplating and was like, why ain't these heroes doing anything? And then some of them are saying that they don't have the right quotes for this situation. And then Deku was like, I have been thinking of this move for a while. Not sure that it will work. And All Might's out of commission, so I don't think he'll be able to help either. Then he just saw the pure terror in Bakugo's face. And then he runs. He runs, dodges the heroes that try and catch him, and then he just yells at the sludge villain to leave him alone. And then the sludge villain was like, you better step away, kid, because once I take over this body, it'll be you that'll hurt first. And then Deku just starts to calm down. He raises his arms wide, and then the sludge villain is all like, what are you doing? And then some of the civilians are like, yeah, what is that kid doing? And then Izuku just claps. And just so you know, I did read on all the kind of skills Luke Cage does have, comics and everything, and it turns out that he can't thunderclap like the Hulk, but it just won't be effective. But it's like air pressure, same as All Might's Detroit Smash. And as he claps, the sludge villain just dissipates from Bakugo's body. And then Izuku was able to capture him. Catch Bakugo and take him to the heroes. And then as the villain is splattered around the floor, Izuku just looks at some of the heroes with disgust, and then just starts to say, how can you all be called heroes if you can allow a kid, a middle schooler, get killed? just because your quirks ain't suited for the situation. And then he just leaves. And then All Might is like, man, that kid will be a great successor. If only that he only accepted my quirk, he would have been a great successor to One for All. And then, well, Izuku does head back home with Bakugo after they managed to check him and then see if he's alright. And then Bakugo was like, I didn't need your help, nerd. And then Izuku was like, yeah, don't mention it. And then as they're heading home, they start planning on the 10 months of training that they'll have to do to enter the entrance exam. And then 10 months do pass, but during these 10 months, they do train. And then All Might does appear one day during the 1 month mark to train Izuku. And then Bakugo is all like, wait. You actually like know All Might? I know that you said you were a bunch of heroes, but I didn't think that you actually knew All Might. And he's like, yeah, we do. Yeah, well, we do go back, but don't worry about it. And then, well, All Might does also share about the injury, but not One for All, because, well, he doesn't know about the kid, and his temper is pretty bad. So then he decides to help them train for the 1 month, and then for the 10 months, and then head to Dagobah Beach, and then they train. Mostly for their quirks. Deku is able to easily carry all of the garbage from Dagobah Beach while Bakugo just blows and incinerates them. But some of them, Bakugo still has to carry with physical strength, which he lacks when compared to Deku, who was like lifting up fridges upon boxes upon everything, and they're just lifting them in one hand and then taking them away. And then the 10 months finally pass, and then they head into the entrance exam. And then Bakugo and Deku just look at each other with determination, fist bump, and then head to the entrance of UA. And Deku is smart, but I'm not going to say that he's some kind of super genius. So yeah, he's at least in the top 10 with everybody else, and then heads into the examination room where President Mike is explaining about the robots for the practical exam. Ida still does that useless thing where he mentions about, wow, but you said 3 robots, but there's 4 robots and all that jazz. And then they begin to head to the entrance, but not with Bakugo since they are still in different rooms. I said different rooms, different testing blocks. And then, well, as he is walking to the front, Deku just starts to do some stretches, and then as President Mike is saying 3, 2, 1, go! Deku just sprints to everybody and he is smashing robots left and right. 3-pointer, gone. 1-pointer, rips leg and then smashes him in the head with it. 2-pointers, gone. Everything just gone, and he's just racking up points. And Ida is kind of surprised early because he is somewhat moving as fast as him. At least because Deku does have superhuman speed. Well, not exactly superhuman speed, more like prime athlete speed. Like Usain Bolt. Let's say that it's somewhere around Usain Bolt's level, 15 kilometers per hour. That's how fast he's moving. And then he's just smashing robots left, right, and then he sees this gigantic robot that everybody is running from. The dreaded 0-pointer. And then decides that thing is too big for me to handle. There's no way in hell that I'll be able to take it out. Plus, there's no point, so why should I? And as he says this, he hears a scream. And then looks down and then sees a brunette stuck under rubble. And he's like, bro, this is him. And then, without even another word coming from his mouth, he sprints forward. And then the other kid thinks, is he suicidal? You get killed. And then he just runs to Uraraka, picks up the rubble, and then says, are you okay? And then the robot leg is about to crush them, and then Deku just grabs Uraraka and then throws her away. And then, push! The leg stomps on Deku. And everyone is like, holy shit, did we just kill that kid? And then they see that the leg begins to rumble. And then they see that Deku is actually lifting up the leg. And he was like, okay, I've had enough. and then he just pushes the leg upward, toppling the robot so that it falls back. Then he leaps. That's also a now skill. He can leap like the Hawk as well, and then leaps about 40 feet, 30 feet in the air, and then just comes back down and then smashes the robot through the head. And then they were like, this kid is pretty damn strong. And he's like, yeah, he's definitely entering UA. Which class do we put him in? I think class 1A. While All Might from the background is just smiling as he sees both Bakugo and Izuku, and he says those two will become great heroes one day. And then he looks at Bakugo especially and is like, maybe. Just maybe. And then, well, 1 week passes, and then Izuku and Deku get their letters. And then they just see that Bakugo still got his normal 78 points, while Izuku got over 150 points. He actually had 100 combat points, and then the 50 points was the hero points, which he got from Uraraka. And then Deku was like, what the hell? And he was like, well, that's just how it is, Bakugo. And then All Might just tells them that welcome to your hero academia. And that's why I'm going to leave it up, guys. And if you guys liked my content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you all in the next time.